Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to a brand new vlog. Today I just wanted to share with you guys my thoughts on the future of gaming, the trends that I'm seeing, where I see it heading. I also wanted to talk about, Sony's recent announcement about their closures of the PSP, PS Vita, and PS3 markets, the digital content. I also wanted to talk about limited printed games and just stuff like that I'm seeing the gaming industry heading towards that I'm not really a big fan of, but it's just an unfortunate side effect of the digital age that we live in. So I do have several topics I just wanted to talk about, and I wanted to film a vlog and get some insight from you guys, get your guys' opinions on this stuff, and just get some more discussions going, because that's one thing I really love about my channel is being able to have discussions with great people here who follow me, like my good buddy Dean. I like talking to Nick T. Wolf, Cats Games Whatever, Mario, JR Man, and several others who regularly comment on my videos, The Skinny Gamer. It's just great hearing from you guys each week, and so I do like to get your guys' perspective, and this is just something that has been bugging me the last few weeks, and I've talked about it before, about my dislike of an all-digital future, and I've mentioned it more than once about that, but it's just something that still has always bothered me, and so I just wanted to make this vlog just to discuss some stuff with you guys. So first up, I really am not happy about hearing about Sony's decision to basically axe their legacy consoles, as some people would call them, because they're older systems, and their lack of wanting to support them anymore, especially with cutting off access for people to be able to buy digital copies of PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games on their PS3 consoles, because some of those games you actually could transfer to your PSP to play, or your PS Vita, and they had quite a few games on there that have become crazy expensive, like the original Silent Hill. Now, I have 3 copies on PlayStation 1. I got them over the years for super cheap, but not everybody was lucky like that, where they sold them off. And because of the pandemic, prices have just absolutely skyrocketed on certain series and games like Silent Hill. It's just ridiculous. I saw Silent Hill 3 going for $175 online, and even at my local game store, they're selling Silent Hill games in that $100 to $200 range, and they sell like quick. And I can't believe people are paying those kind of prices, and your GameCube games are way up, and a lot of these common games that were dirt cheap for years, because of the pandemic and the interest, supply and demand, the prices have just skyrocketed. And, having the option to buy them digitally on a marketplace was a great alternative. Like, oh, hey, you can buy Silent Hill. I think it's like $6.99 or $5.99, real cheap. You can get, a $100 game digitally for $6, and it's great. Cool. I can save the game. I can just play it whenever I want to. And it's great for the casual gamer or the person that's getting back into gaming, not someone who's a big hardcore collector like myself who would love to have it physically. But, it was a great option to have to be able to play some games that were just priced out from you. And with Sony closing that down, they're taking away an avenue from you and basically just giving a big, middle finger to the consumer. And it's because of one of their guys, I can't remember his name, but I know he has something to do with their marketing department or something, and he's been one that's been pushing for this kind of shit for several years, and people have posted his comments about how he doesn't understand why the gamers like their old games, and why the hell do you care about it when you should move on to the new stuff, and basically like, fuck that you like this stuff. What I gotta say to that guy? Fuck you, bitch. I don't care if you don't like the old stuff. We grew up with this old stuff, and this old stuff is what made Sony successful today and made them the company they are in these old games. Because if you didn't have these old games, you wouldn't have your PlayStation 5 out now. And their closure of it has really soured me and really made me think twice now about getting a PlayStation 5. Because it's like, do I buy a PlayStation 5 and then, well, they're going to cut support for that when they make a PlayStation 6 or whatever they decide. When is PlayStation 4 support going to get cut off and you can't re-download your games anymore? They have said, of course, that, oh, well, once they close, you can still re-download them. But they didn't say how long you can re-download those games for. Eventually, we're not going to be able to re-download those PSP or the PlayStation Vita or the PlayStation 3 games. And then I heard about that if that little BIOS battery or whatever dies in your PS3 and you're not able to reconnect to the server to get it reset, you can't access any of your digital games. And they're like, people are like, oh, well, you'll be able to get to it because they're going to still support it. Yeah, for now. But what about 10 or 15, 20 years from now when I wanted to play that digital game and my PS3 died and I had put a new battery in it and I can't reconnect and access any of the digital content? So really don't like that. It's just something that's really soured me with Sony. And you definitely know that the prices of this stuff is going to go up. So, when you buy, that's why I'm so glad that I have built up a wonderful PSP library like this Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I've built up a great PSP collection. I'm just showing you guys, not saying that this game's rare or anything, but just a visual representation that at least, I have built up a great PSP collection with wonderful games that I can enjoy for the rest of my life whenever I want to, and they can't take the access away. And just be prepared, though, that these physical games are going to get harder to find and are going to get pricier because the scalpers and the people who like to take advantage of situations like this are going to, and you're going to see listings of people, oh, it's rare, the market closed down, you can't buy this game anymore, I got this physical copy 15 times what I originally paid for it, but here you go, you can buy it from me, they're super rare. And you're going to have that problem, unfortunately. So definitely now is the time to focus on buying physical copies. I know a lot of people are going out and buying a bunch of digital games before they get delisted, and it's definitely, an option, especially if the game never got a physical one. But for me, I'm really more focusing on wrapping up some of these physical games before the prices get crazy. You definitely know they will get online, and that does affect, game stores because they see, like, well, if this game's trending and it's going to be expensive, I'm not going to take a loss here. I'm going to have to make my prices kind of comparable, and so you'll see the prices go up. So I would definitely work on building up your PSP collection. Another one that's already been trending even before this announcement, at least for physical games, I've been seeing online have been crazy prices. At least in my local game stores, they've been priced relatively well, and that's why I've been buying them. But they're still really hard to find because people aren't turning them in, and that's PlayStation Vita games. Like, I got this game for like $25 locally, but you go online, people want 30, 40, and $50. I got a couple new ones that I'll share with you guys in another pickups video, the one I actually filmed that you guys will see here recently. These came after that, and I got them for really cheap, and they were going for like double or triple the price I paid for in my local stores on eBay already. And it's just crazy how the PlayStation Vita games are just exploding in price for physical ones. And then with the market closure, no more digital copies you can get anymore. And you also won't be able to get the DLC for these games either that's released. So I am looking to any DLC that I need to get for my Vita or Vita DLC games and like PS3 DLC. I definitely want to buy it. And so you'll want to definitely work on your Vita collection. And another one you'll want to work on is your PlayStation 3 games, because these physical copies, just like the PSP and Vita games, their physical copies are going to just go up in price because people are going to take advantage of it. Hey, the PS3 market closed. You can only buy this game physically, and here, I want lots of money. People always take advantage of situations like that, your scalpers and assholes and stuff, which I don't like that practice, but it's just part of life, but people do have that predatory practice of confiscating all the copies they can and then jack up the price and force people to pay it. The only way to combat that is if enough people just say, nope, I'm not buying it, and, hell with that, sit back. Because, Microsoft was going to raise the price on the Xbox Live Gold, and people, shit hit the fan. People are like, fuck, no, I'm not paying that. Nope, I'm not. Nope, fuck it, I'm not. And they backpedaled real quick. And that shows you the power we have as consumer as long as we stick together and tell these companies, what we think, and vote with your wallet. Just don't support it. Hey, you're not getting my money if you don't do things that I like. And if enough people do that, it shows them that, okay, whoa, we better put the brakes on this. People don't like this. And we better, give the people what they want. Doesn't always happen, but at least it did work with Microsoft and them wanting to raise the Xbox Live price like that. I mean, it was quick. Seeing those comments on there was so much negativity was coming their way, and they're like, "Ooh, let's right this ship here. Let's turn it here. Let's get back into the people's good graces here, because people are flipping out." So that shows you the power of that. But it's not just like Sony only. I mean, even Nintendo's guilty of this. Microsoft is too. Of they're not going to support their content forever. I mean, look at Nintendo, shutting down the Wii U servers, and they shut down the Wii support, and they're about to shut down the 3DS support. Eventually they'll shut down the Nintendo Switch support. Like, none of this stuff is going to be around forever, and you won't be able to get it, through legal normal channels. Now, of course, people are like, oh, well, there's always people who are preserving this content, and you can download it off of some shady website or torrents or something, but there's no, like, official way for your average person to experience some of this content that will never be available again, and it won't be archived or anything. And one of the reasons that people are pirating and emulating games is because of them cutting and pulling the content, and some people just want to preserve it that way. And it's an unfortunate byproduct of what happens when a company stops supporting stuff that people like. People will find a way to support it and get their own content. I know there's people who actually have backed up all the old digital content from the old original Xbox games, and you can re-download it on certain sites and stuff for your modded Xboxes and get all the content that you can't ever get anymore from Microsoft's original Xbox Live. You can still get it that way, so that's kind of cool that you still have that, but there's no official way for Microsoft to access that content. Same thing with Nintendo and Sony. So I just can't embrace this digital future and where we're headed, and I really feel bad for the people like my buddy Dean and a few other people who've invested a lot of money buying digital content on their Sony platform, and they're up in the air wondering, like, am I going to always be able to access this content, and what happens when the server goes down completely and I can't get that wonderful day one patch that I need? Like the Mad Max games that my buddy Dean, he put in like 270 hours, and it was like 4, 5, or 6 patches. And it's like, what happens when the PS4 died, or the hard drive cracked real quick and I had to reformat it, and now I have to reinstall the game, and I can't get that patch anymore because the server's down, and so even my physical copy is useless to play because I don't have the patch because they don't support it anymore. Like, just don't like that. And it's just unfortunately how we're headed forward to in gaming, and the way that the trending is moved. And it just also has to do with a generation thing. My son's generation and the generation after that, they're just these younger kids have just always grown up in an internet, always connected age, digital age, and the here today, gone tomorrow kind of games are really popular with them, like your Fortnites and your Destinies, and these games that are only around today and they can be gone tomorrow. There's no real like attachment to them, that if they're gone, whatever, it's just something to have fun with now. Where I like my old stuff, my old games, and I want to come back and revisit them whenever time. I want to play this old Killzone 3, I can go back and play it. But the younger gamers these days just don't get attached to them like we do, because it's just so readily pushed on you with digital, and play what's popular now and fun, and ignore the old crap. Just focus on the fun stuff that's new now, and there's no time to play the old stuff. Just focus on playing the new stuff. And that's kind of the trend that I've seen going with younger gamers. So I can understand where the industry likes having their Fortnites and games like that, because those are huge money makers. They make way more money than single player games will. Having the V-Bucks and skins they sell and weapons and all that, and the loot boxes and the basically the little gambling systems are what they are, and the kids get hooked on it, other people get hooked on it. It's makes them money, so that's why they push that kind of content, because it's a money maker. And of course, at the end of the day, all these gaming companies and publishers, developers and stuff, their goal is to make money, and they're going to chase the money where it is. And if your market dictates digital content that's online and microtransactions, that's where they're going to go. And it's changed a lot. 2013, when Microsoft announced the whole always connecting online, people flipped shit and they changed their script. However, these days people are more willing to have that always connected. However, they are starting to see a few cracks, especially with Sony and their announcement of closing the physical, closing the digital stores. They are starting to see more and more people a little upset about it, always thinking, oh, I'll be able to access my content. And now, whoa, I can't. People are starting to, take a second thought here about digital content. So it is good to see that it is awakening some people to, the true aspect of digital content, that you truly don't own it, and they can take the right from it. I mean, you do technically don't own the physical copies you own either. It's all right in their license agreement, but at least they can't come to your house and physically take your game from you and you can't play it anymore. Like they can with the digital content. They can just turn the license off and it won't work. And, who knows? They could pull something where they do a final update to the console before it turns off from being online and turn off your access to digital content. It wouldn't be that hard for them. You get the final update, don't know why, oh, it's updating, what's it doing? And then, oh, well, we took the access away to your digital content. Anything like that is possible and could happen. If I hear anything about that coming soon, I'll definitely make sure my console never goes back online. So, I just can't get behind that, this going digital, which is leading me actually into my next topic, is how physical copies of games are getting harder and harder to find as we're getting smaller print runs. And I'm not really talking about like your limited run and super rare games, these companies that bank on specifically smaller print games. But I'm just talking about how in general, physical games for the Switch, the PS4, Xbox One, you're getting less and less copies of games printed if it's not a major AAA title, like the Gears of War or Halo. Obviously, they're going to print a shit ton of those. But I've got some here to share with you guys of games that will be harder to find in the future because they're not producing a lot of physical physical printed copies of certain titles, especially if they're like A or AA games that aren't like your top tier game. It doesn't mean they're bad or anything. It just it's just games they know that aren't going to sell guaranteed, so they don't want to risk too much money in physical copies when they could just sell digitally. And one of those here, and I actually have it for 3 different consoles, is this Titan Quest. Right now it's pretty easy to find, but who knows how easy this game will be to find in the future, because this launched as a budget title. It was like, I think, $30 at the time of its release. So I have it on Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. I do play it on my Switch and my Xbox One. I haven't touched the PS4 copy. But I just wanted to get it to help support the developers because I really liked this old game. So this is an old PC game that they ported to Xbox One, the Switch, and PS4. It's so weird to see such an old PC game, but it's still got a small print run. Now, you can still find it, at least I can locally and online, you can see it, but I don't know if this will always be available in the future. So this is one of those games I would recommend getting now while the prices are cheap, especially if you want to build up a nice collection of some of these modern consoles. Before they become hard to find in the future when we're getting a couple more generations away. You might not always find these. Now, these next 2 here were mentioned to me by my buddy JR Man, like 339, I think it's his, or 331. Mentioned that these games were at Best Buy. And now this first one here is a limited run game, but Best Buy sold it, and that was The Mummy Demastered. And I had to jump real quickly online and buy this from Best Buy's website and do in-store pickup to get it. I was actually in the store and I just couldn't find it, and the person who worked there was not very helpful, and they were closing, and I'm like, man, I want to get that game, because each store only got a couple copies, and the store by my house had 1 copy of this, and I ordered it and picked it up that day. And that this Mummy Demaster game just looked really fun, and it's like, I don't want to buy the digital copy if it's a physical's available, because I want to be able to always play it whenever I want to, because who knows what can happen with the Switch. My Switch breaks and I have to buy a new one. I can't re-download the game in the future. There's that money out the window. You might as well just go to the toilet and throw $20 in there and just flush it away. And that's basically what happens with digital content. So I was so glad that I got this one physically. And then another one, I had to go to another Best Buy. They had 2 copies, and I got one of them, was this Hades game. I had a buddy here that I work with, Todd's been talking about it, and a few other people here on YouTube were talking about how awesome this is, and I wanted to get it, and he kept bugging me to get it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get it eventually. And then I heard at my local game store, we were there both game hunting, and they're like, hey man, Hades is going to get a physical copy, you should pick it up soon when it comes out, but they didn't know when, and so I just kind of forgot about it and didn't pre-order it. And luckily I was able to get it at Best Buy, thanks to JR for letting me know about this. So I really appreciate that, bro. And I was able to get this because this is not going to be easy to find physically in the future. And when you do find it, people are going to want to charge a lot of money for it. So I'm glad I got that. Another one I want to share here for the Switch is one that I'm glad that I pre-ordered, because my GameStop only got the copy and that I pre-ordered. And my buddy that works there, told me that if I didn't pre-order this, they probably never would have got this in, maybe one or two. And that was Cat Quest plus the Cat Quest 2 Possum Pack. I pre-ordered this, and I was able to get it only because I pre-ordered it. And I still have never seen another physical copy of any of the GameStops in my area. And I've been to quite a few of them. I always check out their Switch collection, and it's always been picked over, especially because this pandemic. People are buying stuff up there all the time, and anytime something trends or someone talks about, oh, my GameStop's got a great sale on these really hard to find games, people just go to all the stores and buy up the stuff. So I'm so glad that I got it. But it just shows you, though, that there's some of these games, if you don't buy them day one, you might not get them in the future. And so there are certain games that I have been pre-ordering to pick up on day one, especially when they're like your $20 and $30, $40 like budget titles, because there's no guarantee you're going to find them again. And then when you go look online, they're like $50, $100, $200, and they say they're out of print. And one that I actually bought, and I'll show it eventually whenever it comes out, is Terminator Resistance. Was released on the PC, the PS4, Xbox One. Well, they announced that there was going to be a PS5 version, and they were going to get a collector's edition of it. And they finally said what was going to come in it, and they had opened up the pre-orders in the beginning of April here this month. And it was only running for, I don't know how long, a week or so, or whatever. And the physical copy for PS5 was going to be $40, but they had the collector's edition for $59.99. And so I jumped on that, pre-ordered, paid the $60. Tax and shipping is obviously a little bit more than that. But I wanted to get that so I could help support the developers of Terminator Resistance, because I love the game and I wanted to help support them, and I was able to because it was only $60. Now, they had to go to limited run to print the copies, but it's not actually a limited run release. They just went to them because, Sony is basically like, well, this game didn't make a whole lot of money, so I'm not freaking wasting time printing it. And so they had to find a company that was willing to, and Limited Run was one of those companies that said, yeah, we'll print it for you. And so I'm glad they did, but it's sad that the pre-orders are gone already. And I looked at eBay, 250, 350, 750. People are like, oh, it's all rare, because they said, you could buy as many as you wanted. There was no limit to those pre-orders. And so, people took advantage of it, bought a ton of them for $60, and there's people probably going to pay that $250 and $300 price range. Now, for me, I'm buying that Terminator Resistance Collector's Edition as a true collector's piece for me. I don't need to open it and play it because I have the Xbox One copy, which I'll actually show you guys here soon. But I just wanted to get it for my collection and to help support the Terminator Resistance developers, because, they made a project out of love for the Terminator series. They were true fans of the Terminator 1 and 2, and you can tell that in the game they tried. Now, a lot of people shit on the game. I got it right here. A lot of people shit on this game and said it was kind of shitty and didn't actually give it a try, and just kind of all the big people are like, oh yeah, that game's shit. Yeah, that's crap too. And then you have people who actually gave it a try and are like, I don't know what you're talking about. This game's awesome, man. Like, this is the best Terminator game I've ever played. And then the trend was like, whoa, yeah, this is really cool. I want to get a physical copy. And when I found that out, I jumped on it real quick to find one. It was very difficult for me to get this copy. I only got it because one of the GameStops in my area, somebody canceled their pre-order, and I was able to go there and pick up and buy this game. I know my buddy Dean got his for PS4, and he had a hard time finding it. And then the copies online just exploded in the price. Now, they have come down a bit to more normal, but if you ever look on there, there's not very many copies for sale. For Xbox One or PS4 for these physical copies of Terminator. You can easily get, the PAL version, because a lot were released in PAL, but here in America, these Terminator Resistance had a small physical print run. They really pushed the digital and didn't make a whole lot of physical copies, and so it made the market expensive and hard to find. Like I said, now the prices have gone down, but who knows how easy this Terminator Resistance game will be able to find in 10 or 20 years from now when you're, retro hunting for Xbox One games at places. How easy is it going to be find, and online, what are those prices going to be? So I'm so glad that I got this. Locally, I've never seen another one. I always look for them, my game stores, just to see if they ever get it for Xbox One or PS4. I've got like 20 some game stores here that I go to, and not a single one ever has a copy of this in. Of course, I never see it at GameStop ever. Their website never has them. And this is one of those games that if you just don't get it now, you might not ever get a chance to get it. There's a couple other ones here, and I'm not saying like they're as hard to find, but they're still not huge print run games, but they're all ones that I want to check out, and they look cool, and I got them from GameFly, like this Mortal Shell game here, which plays like a Dark Souls type of game, a Demon Souls, and just had a unique concept. But this is another one of those games that it's not a big AAA game, so it's got a small print run, and so this is going to be one of those titles that's hard to find. Another one here we have Immortal Unchained, another one for PS4 and Xbox One that's like Dark Souls with guns that look cool and awesome. Small physical print run, gonna be harder to find. Chronos Before the Ashes, another one that's similar to like Dark Souls. There's a lot of these Dark Soul like games that have been trending lately that have been released over the years, and I've been picking up these physical copies because they just look cool, and at least this way I can play them whenever I want because I have the physical copy. But it's going to be one that's going to be kind of harder to find in the future. And then another one is Remnant from the Ashes, another one of those Dark Soul-like games as far as the difficulty and the setting and everything. And it just looked really cool, and so I'm glad I got this cheap and got it physically, because who knows how long you'll be able to get this on the digital content, because they're not going to support it forever. And it's going to be difficult to find some of these smaller print run games, so I'm glad I got that. Another one here, I didn't even know this game was out. Of course, it's not the greatest game in the world. But I did check it out on my buddy's Switch, because he actually has it digitally on there. And as Garfield Kart Furious Racing, this is one that came out a few years ago. That's the copyright on here. 2019. This came out for the PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch physically. Was a budget title. Since it's not the greatest game in the world, it got a small print run. This is another one of those games going to be hard to find in the future. Another one we have here, which I'm starting to see more copies of it available, but who knows in the future, is Mafia, the Definitive Edition. Like, when this game first came out, it was really hard to find copies. Now, I've seen a few locally, and of course, you know, Walmart has a couple copies. Now, I never see them at GameStop or whatever, but this is one of those games that, again, got a smaller print run than other games get, because it's not a big AAA game. You know, this is a remake of that old one for the original Xbox, and unless you're a true fan of the Mafia series, you know, not everybody and their brother is just going to give this game a try. This game is wonderful. I beat it, loved it. It's awesome the way a remaster, like remake, should be. You know, you change stuff, but you don't change so much that the game isn't the way it feels. Like, they did a perfectly good thing with this. You can get on PS4, PC, Xbox One. I'm so glad I got this for my collection, and I got the sleeve version, because the ones they're making now don't have the sleeve at all. I've seen a bunch of those at Walmart where they don't have the sleeve version anymore, so I'm glad that I got this. But again, this is one of those games that's going to be harder to find in the future. I got some PS4 ones too. They had Metal Wolf Chaos XD. This is one of those crazy expensive games for the original Xbox that's all about America and mechs and stuff, but it was a Japanese only exclusive. Didn't get a huge print run for the original Xbox, and that game is worth a lot of money. I don't have it, but I would love to get it. And so it was so cool hearing that they had a PS4 version, so I jumped on it and got myself a physical copy, because this, again, one of those things that's going to be hard to get. If you don't pick it up now, who knows if you can find it in the future. Another one here, just randomly picked up the game store, looked cool, is Assault Suit Lenos, I believe it's called, from Rising Star Games. Cool side-scrolling shooter with mechs and stuff, just looked really fun. And again, did not got a huge physical print run, so it's going to be something that's going to be hard to find in the future. I'm not saying now, but always looking the future, like 10, 15, 20 years from now, where some games are hard to find. Like, there's some Nintendo 64 games, like that Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. I've got that in my collection. It's worth, who knows what, like $800 now, probably. That was small print because it was only at Blockbuster stores out for rental. Not that it's a great game or anything, but, it just shows you that small print runs can affect the cost of games, because people know that something is harder to find. They're going to price it up, unfortunately. And if you don't pay the price for it, you might not ever actually get to physically buy it. People find out that something has a small supply, they kind of jump on it like vultures and corner that market and dictate the prices of whatever they want to charge for it. And unfortunately, sometimes people pay it. Another one we have here, which I'm so glad that I was able to find. My local game store, they actually ordered it from another store. They have like 40 plus locations in like 4 different states, and only one store had one copy of it. I'm so glad I got it for a great deal, and that was Berserk and the Band of the Hawk from Koei Tecmo. So this is like a Dynasty Warriors type game, but set in the Berserk anime series, which is pretty cool. So I was glad to get this. Really hard to find online, really hard to find locally. Just one of those games that if you didn't pre-order it, you're probably not going to find in the future, so I'm glad I got that. Another one here, this is only $20. It's a first-person, kind of like a horror-type game that looked kind of cool. It's been shit on a lot, but I'm glad that I got it. I pre-ordered it at GameStop, and I got the only copy they had, and I was the only person who pre-ordered at the store. The guy didn't even know what the hell I was talking about when I went there. He's like, what is this? And he had to look it up. Oh, I never heard of that game. I'm like, yeah, I want to pre-order it. And that was the deluxe edition of Those Who Remain. It includes postcard and a digital comic book. Still sealed. I just haven't had time. I will eventually open this, but whenever I buy sealed games, and I know I'm not going to get to them I just leave them sealed. It just keeps them from getting dirty or damaged. But I would like to get to this eventually because it did look kind of fun. A lot of people shit on it, but it's just a $20 little budget title, little indie game that looked kind of fun. I watched a playthrough video of it for like a couple hours actually, and I'm like, yeah, this looks fun. I want to give it a try. Because, I always have to judge a game for myself, too. That's one thing about me, I like games that people hate, and I hate games that other people praise and love. We all have our own tastes and stuff. And for me, I have to actually play a game for me to truly determine if I like it or not. Of course, if it's one of these always online forced thing, like that new Outriders game, oh, well, you have to be online even to play the single player. Nope, we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I'm not playing a limited game. Now, there are a couple games, obviously, that I do play. They're not as much, but they're free, so I don't have to pay a dime for them, like that Elder Scrolls Online and the Star Trek Online game. I understand those are digital games only and always online MMO, basically, games, and that they won't be around forever, and I'm just enjoying them for what they are now. But it's not something I would invest a lot of money into or anything like that because, I don't like games like that, but there are a couple I do play and make an exception for because I do love Star Trek. And I love how the game plays, and I do love the Elder Scrolls, and I love how that one plays. But I understand that it's not something that's going to be around forever, and so I'm not going to pump a bunch of money into it like I would my physical collection. So this, looks fun to check out. Another one here. I didn't know anything about it. My buddy Dean told me about him last year and just said, oh, you got to check out this game. It's fun. You should buy it physically because it's going to be tough to find down the road, and so I picked up the copy of Rico, and he just said, it's just a fun, cel-shaded game, first-person shooter. Just look cool. So I bought him a copy and bought myself a copy, and I'm glad that I got it, and I'm looking forward to eventually checking out. Still, it's brand new. Got a good deal on this online. Never see this game locally, and probably never will because it's had such a small physical print run. And so that's the thing with these games. There's a new one coming out here. I think it's I don't remember now, damn it. I think it's Dungeons and Dragons Darksiders. Or is it Darksiders? Damn, I can't think of the name of it. JR, man, he actually told me a thing about it. I just can't think of the name really now. I hate that. Don't you guys hate that? You know what you want to talk about, and then you just kind of pops out of your head. Dark Alliance, that's it. Basically like a spiritual successor to the Dark Alliance top-down action games. Well, I found out that GameStop is selling 2 versions of that, like a regular one for $40 and then like a steelbook edition for $60. Now I went there to the store, and the lady who was working there, I'm not a big fan of hers. I don't know, she just seemed kind of ditzy. And I was wishing my buddy that I know was there. He wasn't. And I'm like, I want to pre-order, that Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance game that's coming out. And she didn't even know what the hell I was talking about. Oh, I can't find it in our system. Oh, you can't pre-order it. And I'm like, what? So thank God I went onto my app on my phone. I have the GameStop app, and I was able to pre-order my copy because I know that's going to be one of those games that when it's released, You don't pre-order it, you can't pick it up in store anymore, and everybody on eBay wants a ton of money. You know, that happens with some of the collector's editions, like The Witcher 3. I completely forgot about that game. I didn't pre-order it, and now people want $500 or more for the collector's edition of that game, and I love that game, and I would love to have that collector's edition. I did find the statues of it, actually two of them. One was at my local game store, and another one was at Half Price Books, and I have them both in my collection, but I always wanted that collector's edition. Another one I really miss, and that one's extremely expensive, is Kingdoms of Amalur. That collector's edition's like $1,000 now, and I really wish I would have pre-ordered that, just because I love the game, and it would be cool to have that collector's edition in my collection. And it just sucks that some of this stuff gets a small print run, and the people who truly want it aren't always able to get it because they don't have the money at the time, or they weren't able to get into pre-order at time, and it just sucks. And it's not just games either that does, you know, like Nintendo does this with their physical reward stuff. And I got two things to share with you here, which were crazy hard to get, and I'm, you know, just upset that Nintendo didn't make them available for all fans. The Super Mario Brothers 35th Anniversary Collector Pins. Wave 1 that I got last year, Wave 2 I got this year. These were so freaking hard to get. You had to do these missions to get them. The website had so much traffic on it that it crashed both times, and a lot of people weren't able to get it. And then, of course, all the people took advantage of selling this for crazy amount of prices on eBay. And it's just sickening. Like, I love Mario. It's what made me a gamer that I am today. So this Mario 35th Anniversary is something I love celebrating. I loved all the, you know, these physical things. But these are impossible to get now. You can never get them. Whatever they printed is it. You know, Nintendo hasn't mentioned anything about making any more of these, and they really should. Like, they could even sell these, and they would make a killing on them. Like, I swear Nintendo just doesn't like making money, you know, when they make these physical things. You know, they got rid of the Mario 3D All-Stars I have physically. You know, right now you can still get it at stores, and of course you have some idiots on eBay trying to charge $1,000 for a copy, but eventually it'll be impossible to find that game physically like 10 or 20 years from now. No, who knows if you'll be able to find, but it's just sad. Other physical rewards, you know, that they've got, like I got from their Nintendo, because basically they took over their Club Nintendo like this, which I got from my local game store, but you could earn this with your platinum coins. You know, people like these cool little Mario collectibles, but they're only out for a limited time, and if you don't get them when they're available, you're going to have to resort to eBay and pay big bucks because people take advantage of that, and so it just really sucks. Like, you know, I love Nintendo, but, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not afraid to call them out on the bullshit I see. You know, same with Microsoft and Sony. You know, I'm not going to, you know, dance around or on eggshells with them. You know, if I see something they don't like, I'm going to say it. Hey, I don't like it, so fuck them. As far as that goes, you know, that's, you know, just, you have to do that. You know, just because you like something, you can still criticize it. I like Nintendo, but I still criticize them like Microsoft criticize them. Sony I don't like as much, but I still enjoy, you know, their games, but their recent thing with the store closure and stuff have kind of soured me to them. But, you know, I still like, in general, the PlayStation brand, but, you know, I still can call them out when they have their bullshit. Same with Microsoft, I'll call them out for their bullshit that they do. And you just have to do that as a gamer and a collector. You know, you got to stick to your guns and you know, just vote with your wallet and do things that you want to do. But for me, you know, that just is what's been souring me with how gaming, you know, we're just moving to this, like, and it's done on purpose too, you know, they're putting less physical and less physical to kind of ease you into always online and digital. You know, Microsoft has the Game Pass that everybody loves. Me, I don't like it because it just isn't good for me economically, you know, paying $15 a month for it, for all these games. Like, you know, it takes me a while to get to some games, and if, let's say, I don't want to play Xbox One for 5 months, I want to play retro stuff. I mean, lately I've been playing a lot of Xbox One games, but there are times, like last year, where I was just playing retro, or the last couple of years, I was playing a lot of PlayStation 1, and Sega Genesis, and regular Nintendo, and Famicom, and stuff. So what would be the point in paying $15 a month for, like, a couple hundred games that I have access to if I don't ever play them for, like, 6 months, 7 months? And it's like there's so many games on there that, you know, you can get overwhelmed with what to play, and then sometimes they pull content from it, and the game's no longer available when you want to play it. And again, then you're at the mercy of someone else telling you when you can enjoy your content. I like to enjoy it when I want to, will play it. Same thing with my why I have a huge movie collection, and why I've been buying a lot of TV series, DVDs. Like I recently bought the family almost all 20 seasons of The Simpsons. I only need 3 more and I'll have all, because after 20 that's all just digitally. So I'll have to buy the digital copies and back them up if I can, and have for the Simpsons, because I do love the series. Which the Simpsons, I haven't watched any of the new ones. Kind of show has been going down for years, but I'm just glad I have those 20 seasons. Same thing with my original Law and Order. I bought that 20 set complete 20 seasons of original Law and Order on DVD. I was watching it on Netflix, and boom, they pulled the plug on that because of whatever licensing, and I couldn't watch it again. Like, of course, it's always on TV, but I want to watch it whenever I want to and not have someone telling me. So I don't like when someone comes in and says, well, you can't enjoy the game because I said so. Like, I don't like it. So I love having my physical collection, and that's why I've been building up my TV shows and stuff. I can pop them in, watch them whenever I want. I got my own Netflix, my own Hulu right here in my living room. I can play them anytime I want, and I'm even thinking of, it's something my brother talked about, and we talked about years ago, creating what's called a media center PC. I could rip all my DVDs and TV shows into that computer, have it hooked up to my TV, and then with the remote, my brother even has software. Somebody he knows who created this software to have a menu system, and you can go through categorize of all the things with little videos playing. They do that for arcade games and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool, back up all my physical content digitally on this media center PC and have access to it at any time I want, and have my own Netflix in-house with all my physical content backed up digitally on the computer. With the programs and stuff, you can rip the DVDs on there. So that's kind of cool, and something that I've been toying around with doing here in the future. Nothing now, but in the future. But I've been building up my DVD collection, my Blu-ray collection and stuff, because even that's starting to get back in because of the pandemic and prices are going up. So I've been buying that stuff. I've been buying them anyways, just because I like to have certain old movies that I can watch whenever I want to. I even have old VHS tapes still, because there are some movies on VHS they never got a physical print run for DVD or Blu-ray, and the only way to get them is on VHS. And then there's movies that never got any physical release, and they're pretty much impossible to find. So there are old movies, and I like the feel too of old retro stuff. Like, I love to watch some VHS movies, even though I have the nice, Blu-ray, and I would love to eventually get some 4K for some of my favorite movies, like Terminators and your Aliens and your Predators and Rambos. Those certain movies that would be amazing to get in 4K, because I've seen them at stores and stuff, and holy shit, like Terminator 2 in the 4K on a 4K TV, just holy shit, like compared to VHS, even DVD, to that 4K Blu-ray, like the graphics and stuff, so maybe some of the Star Treks would be awesome on 4K if they released them that way. Wow, it's just amazing how cleaned up they look. They're so futuristic looking, and just so amazing they can go back and enhance these old movies with 4K technology. So there are a few select I would like, but sometimes I like watching those old VHS versions of movies. It's just cool. They just have a certain charm to them. It's just my love of retro stuff. But that's basically my vlog here, guys. I just had to vent a little bit about the future of gaming and this digital trend we're going to, and these game passes. Even Sony's getting on board. They're just moving us along to where one day it's going to be all digital. And that's the point where I'm going to be like, sorry guys, this is my stop. I'm getting off the ship, and I'm done with modern, and I'll just stick to what I have in the past. I got so many freaking games now anyways. I probably can't play all of them in my lifetime. So I'm glad that I've been building up this big physical collection that's for myself. I can enjoy it whenever I want to. And once we go to 100% digital, because it is going to come someday, I know there's some people oh no, it won't. It is. We're getting the stepping stones there to get us to all digital. Eventually, it's going to become games as a service, as my buddy Dean would call it. I don't like games as a service, where you pay for access to it now, and you can enjoy it when we tell you, and when we're said you're done enjoying it, you're just we pulled the plug on and you can't enjoy it anymore. So at some point, I will stop playing modern gaming and will stick to the games I already have. sad, but it's ultimately what's going to happen with me eventually here. So I still don't know if I'm going to get the PS5 or Xbox Series X because of, this digital future. Now, I am thinking about the Series X mainly because of its backwards compatibility with Xbox One, the Xbox 360, and Xbox, original Xbox, and then now Xbox One. That's a stupid name too. Xbox One was such a dumb name for them to make it. Why did they did it? It just boggles the mind. But original Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and now Xbox Series X and Series S. Playing 4 generations of Xbox on one with enhanced graphics and everything. Because I love my Xbox One X that I got from my brother, playing my 360 games on there and some of the original Xbox games. Man, it really upscales them. So I would love to see the power of the Series X, and I hope they're able to do this. It would be great if they could make the entire original Xbox library and 360 backwards compatible with a software update. Of course, I know with licensing issues it's going to be kind of difficult, but that would be something that would definitely sell me on getting a Series X just to play my old collection in a higher resolution. I would buy one of those down the road, Series X, when they obviously are easier to find and we get more years into it. I might actually buy it, but for right now, I just don't see any interest in a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, especially if they keep supporting Xbox One and PS4. I'll just buy those versions for now. Eventually, we'll get to that point where they don't make them anymore for PS4 and Xbox One. Eventually, they'll have to stop supporting in order to make people forced to go to the new generation. That's the only way it's going to happen. And it's the only way we're going to get truly next-gen games is when they make them specifically for the new hardware, because keep making them for the Xbox One and PS4 is going to limit the games because they're limited to the older hardware, where if they focus only on the new hardware, they can really take advantage of the new hardware's system and its graphical capabilities and everything, and just make a much better game here for the future, especially graphically, and it won't be held back by having to, work on older consoles. So it's just basically how it's going. So I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this subject about the gaming, where it's headed to. Are you guys buying some of these physical games that are getting small print runs? I highly recommend, if you see some games coming out that look cool, pre-order it so you can guarantee. People always were like, I don't have to pre-order, I can just go into the store and pick it up. Help pre-orders. That used to be the case. Nowadays it's like, some of these games, you don't pre-order them, you might not get a chance to buy it. And then if you do want to buy it, somebody on eBay wants 3 times what it's worth. It came out for $30 and they want $90 or $100 for it. And they're like, man, I have to pony up all this money to get it because it's not available physically, and I wish I would have. So that's something I would recommend doing. But I'd like to know if that's something you guys are, buying more physical games. Are you guys gonna focus on buying more Vita, PSP, and PS3 games here before the price hikes? Or have you guys been? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. It's just, a video I want to get, a great discussion going with you guys. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions and thoughts on these subjects that I talked about today. Again, thank you guys so much for your support of my channel over the years. Really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Sleepy. We'll see you guys next time.